And I lost a very big opportunity to make my generator from China. A very big opportunity, and I warn you never to make that mistake. When you meet someone, first get their contact. Don't be talking, and then something crops up and they go. This is what happened to me. And I was sharing my idea with this man about the generator. He said, wow, I have a motorcycle Senke factory in China where we produce Senkes, and I think we can have partnership with you to produce your generators that doesn't use fuel. He was excited. He was a rich man from Congo. And while we are talking, an emergency phone call came. And he said, I need to go. And I'll meet you here in the evening. Did he come back? No. Until today, I don't know where he is. I can't meet him again. I didn't ask for his contact. The opportunity just disappeared like that. By the time I say, oh my God, I need this man's contact, he had disappeared to this day. And even if he came back looking for me, I'm no longer in that place where he met me. So that's how I lost it. But I've not given up. I came up with an idea, and that idea was so good for an NGO where I was working in 2004. And I developed a system to make work easy in office. Because I was a minister, I needed to go to church, but I'm also working here, and there was a heavy database to feed information daily from 8 to 5 p.m. constant, apart from breakfast and lunch. So I needed to buy 2 extra hours off. Instead of finishing at 5, I needed to finish at 3. So I developed a system that could make me finish my work by 3 p.m. And I discussed with the boss that I'm going to provide this system on condition that you give me off 2 hours. And they say, you have the 2 hours. So I will do work up to 3 p.m., go to church, have nice time with God, and rest every day. And that system was taken up to Northern Ireland, everywhere. But you see, I did not develop it enough to sell it to other organizations. So it ended up being the property of this organization in their systems. Because my computer knowledge with God's wisdom gave me opportunities to develop things. And this is because I function prophetically, whether I'm working an office thing, I'm doing a ministry at church, anything I'm dealing with, I have to switch on my prophetic unction. It gives you extra support and very quick approach to things. You can see somebody coming, you say, I'll work with this one, I will not work with this one. This one will be an obstacle, this one will be the easy way, and you work smoothly. So I wanted to open our mind here that once we're in this class, this is not just to prepare you to go to heaven. This is to prepare you to live on earth effectively. Going to heaven has been decided on our salvation. Once you are born again, you will go. But you see, being born again and struggling here, you better go than struggle. You understand what I'm talking about? You better go than struggle here. Because if you are going to live long, like 100 years struggling, you better go. You see? So the reason God gives us these things is that you don't struggle while you are here. You enjoy your salvation. You live effectively. When time comes to go to heaven, you go joyfully. You are like Paul. I've run my race. I've finished my course. Now a reward awaits me. This is what we should aspire to. living effective life. If you're a teacher, you should be that teacher who is working together with God to teach. If you are a doctor, you should be working together with God to be a different doctor. If I'm a nurse, I should wake up in the morning knowing which patient will die and which one will live, and what is going to be my task like today, and how am I going to navigate through these processes. By the time I arrive on my duty, I have mapped the day and I'm ready for action. Which life to rescue, which one not to waste time on. This one God has already decided will go home. I should not over disturb myself. I should save the other life, which God has not yet decided. You should be knowing that if you're a medical person. There is someone you fight to rescue and God just takes them. And it will be a big loss. You will be frustrated. And you may fail to save another one who should have not died. So, these are my opening statements for the class today. So that we look at this thing we are doing as empowering ourselves more and more to be very effective in the ministry. So today we will be looking at, we will look at two ways we position ourselves. I couldn't bring all of them because it will be too much. In the next month, we can see how to build on the remaining. So, postures of intimacy, or that word posture is just positioning. How to position yourself for intimacy with God. And we have some key scriptures there. Psalms 91, which is familiar to most of us, and several scriptures laid out there. And we need to understand that positioning ourselves for intimacy is a key thing. And we need to be intimate with God without fail if we are going to succeed in everything we are going to do. Intimacy with God. And it is easy to just say, I am intimate with God, or hearing the word intimacy and failing to know how to go about these things. Now, this particular lesson will help us to understand how to position ourselves and also keep continuous connection to the presence of God so that you function effectively in prophetic ministry and you can develop a thriving relationship with the Lord. So, this positioning here with the Lord, it will guarantee you an effective ministry, and it can save you from errors and falsehoods that always we see in the prophetic ministry. You see, if you are only gift oriented and you don't understand how to stay connected with God, your gift can be actually hijacked. The spirit of divination can overrule you and hijack your prophetic gift, and you start functioning as a diviner instead of functioning as a prophet. Familiar spirits can hijack you. And this attempt was made on my life in 2004. Familiar spirit almost hijacked my prophetic calling. But one of my pastors noticed it, and he sat me down and he talked to me. He shared the word with me, and he guided me how to protect myself. And the only protection was to immerse myself into a tight relationship with the Lord, so that the Lord will always govern my revelation channel. The Lord will always govern my spiritual communications. Otherwise, many people start very well. The prophetic gifts are activated, but along the way, the devil uses divinations and other spirits to hijack a prophetic person. Because the devil can never make you a prophet. He cannot. What he does is he takes advantage of an existing open channel and he twists it. Most people who are witch doctors were originally meant to be prophets and seers. But they are chosen by God. But because they have no exposure to the gospel and they have no exposure to God in the right way, the devil hijacks them and uses them in that dimension of witch doctors, as sorcerers, astrologers, and diviners. Whereas some people go and initiate themselves into a covenant with demonic spirits, so that those demonic spirits now begin to use them as though they are prophets. You see, the spiritual realm is one, but it has boundaries. The boundary on God's side, and there is a boundary where the evil supernatural realm is. And the boundary is so thin, it takes only discernment to see it. That, okay, I've crossed the line, or I'm still in the safe zone. Sometimes you might find you have crossed the other side if you are not careful. And especially if your motive is not right. If you are desperate for gain, if you are desperate for popularity and fame, you can be hijacked. And so, to be secure, you have to position yourself in a place by God that there you will be secure. And your ministry will draw everything from the throne of God. Elijah, the prophet, in 1 Kings chapter 17, referred to himself as a man who stands in the presence of God. He came to Ahab and he said, as long as the Lord before whom I stand lives, there will neither be rain nor dew in the land except by my word. He referred to himself as the one who stands in the presence of God. That means he was positioned in an intimate relationship with God that no word he says can fall to the ground without coming to pass. That is where accuracy in prophecy comes from. You are accurate because you are rightly positioned. Sometimes having just gift alone, you may have errors even with the gift. You may not be very accurate if you don't position yourself in the presence of God. So he says, I stand in the presence of God. Gabriel came to Mary and Zechariah, same statement. I am Gabriel, I stand in the presence of the Lord. And this standing in the presence of the Lord is a description of a relationship, a close relationship, and access to God's heart, access to God's will, access to God's mind. A person can obtain that because of the relationship. So we'll be looking at how do you secure this kind of relationship. And we will look at various people who learn to position themselves both in Old Testament and New Testament. And their example can help us to develop a relationship, a position, have access to God's heart. Number one is trust. Trust. Trust, or the Hebrew word betach. Betak. B-E-T-A-C-H. Betak. It is the word trust. You see, everywhere in the scripture you will read trust in the Lord, trust in the Lord, I trust in the Lord. But that word trust is a very important thing for positioning ourselves. Trust will put you in a place. And that place where trust puts you, and you see, the Israelites, God told them one time in Deuteronomy 32, verse 37, say, and he shall say, where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted? That is, in their trouble, God will mock them. Where are your gods in whom you trusted? And you find that those people sought, Moses was saying, if you will seek refuge in idols and false gods, when the day of your trouble comes, God will mock you and say, where are your gods and your rock in whom you trusted? But the Bible asks us to trust in the Lord. And David keeps saying, in the Lord I put my trust. In the Lord I put my trust. Psalms 4 verse 5 says, offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. Offer, Psalms 4 verse 5, offer your sacrifices and of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. So offering the sacrifices of righteousness means that we who have become righteous because of the righteousness of Christ should now put our trust in the Lord. And so when you use the word trust there, you realize that David said it again in Psalms 7 verse 1. Sigayon of David. Sigayon is a word like doubt. A song sung in doubt. Sigayon of David, which he sang unto the Lord. A Sigayon is a song you sing in doubt. He sang unto the Lord concerning the words of Cush, the Benjamite. O Lord my God, indeed do I put my trust. Save me from all them that persecute me and deliver me. So, David constantly told the Lord, I put my trust in you. So now, no wonder David was called a man after God's heart. One of his secrets of positioning himself for closeness with God is trust. And the word trust is like a position of being in Him, abiding and resting in Him, and being wrapped with His goodness and feeling so secure. So it has an element of abiding in God, resting in God, being wrapped in the goodness of God, and feeling secure. And the Hebrew language is a pictograph. They use pictures to symbolize meaning, to provide meaning. In the picture on that first page, you see those three symbols there. The Hebrew word betak is the word for trust. Now, betak has three letters in Hebrew. The first letter is bet, the one which is like this. Bet. Now, that word bet, that letter, that picture for bet there symbolizes a tent or a home. It's a symbol of a home or a tent. A picture of being inside a tent or a home. So this letter symbolizes tent, home, or family. It speaks of being on the inside, abiding and resting. So when you say, I trust God, you are actually saying, I am inside God, abiding in Him and trusting and resting in Him. And every time, like Psalm 33:21 says, we have trusted in His holy name. That means that we are on the inside of God, like He is our home. Let me tell you that I said it here, I think some time back, that originally God never gave man a home. Why? God wanted to be the home. Did he give Adam a home? We see a house, the first house built in Genesis 4. By who?